appears in court to establish that Mr. Rollins is her father, while Mr. Rollins denies this claim.
This is a case of Robinson Palmer Rollins.
Ms. Robinson, you say you've always known the defendant was your father. You hope he will finally accept you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Rollins, you testified you did not father Ms. Robinson, and the DNA will prove you are not the dad.
Correct.
Both Ms. Robinson and her mother insist that Mr. Rollins is the father, but Mr. Rollins is adamant that he is not.
I feel like that he was responsible to even say I'm his daughter or not.
You've had to deal with this.
Yes, Your Honor.
You have been telling her that Mr. Rollins is her biological father, and you've never gotten any level of recognition.
No, I haven't.
You say you're 1,000% sure.
1001.
So, Ms. Robinson, were you told his name?
Yes, I knew him as Doobie.
Did you ever have an occasion to visit Mr. Rollins?
When I was 9, I was on the school bus. I went upstairs, seen them talking. I asked her, who was that man? She was like, that's your father. I ran down the stairs. So I asked him, I was like, well, are you my father? He was like, no. He was like, well, no, I'm not your father.
Mr. Rollins maintains his denial, prompting an emotional outburst from Ms. Robinson and a stern response from Judge Lake.
Kind of observing me when I was looking at her, and I said we had no resemblance.
Ain't nobody resemble all their parents,
She
right?
had a...
Do you remember a 9-year-old child saying to you, are you my daddy?
I remember a child observing me.
He is not a man to own up to nothing. Like, come on now, you ain't got to do all this.
Are you a DNA tester?
No, you're not gonna prosecute her because you don't have no law degree. Hold on.
You ain't finished.
Hold on. This is the issue here. She's trying to find her father. You admittedly slept with her mother, and she is 20 plus years old. So therefore, you are a possibility.
Mr. Rollins expresses his doubts, accusing Ms. Robinson's mother of infidelity.
What was your reaction once you saw her?
I looked at her and already knew.
Mr. Rollins, who were the other people involved?
I'm not a name dropper, but I have associates.
What kind of associates is these?
Who are you talking about?
The only thing I can do is verbally tell you she was multitasking.
You're saying in a polite way she was having sex with more than one man, and you know that for a fact.
Yes, ma'am.
Despite having opportunities to uncover the truth, Mr. Rollins and Ms. Robinson chose not to pursue them.
We both came to the conclusion that we gave up on that issue.
You realized that it wasn't just about doing the swab that day, pay fees, all right.
Mr. Rollins makes a promise to Ms. Robinson, but her mother interjects with a significant revelation about Mr. Rollins.
I mean, if I am, I'm gonna hold up to my responsibility.
When he came there, he gonna say, let me see your feet. He said your mama been sleeping with a lot of men.
You told her, let me see your feet?
Well, I'm not a genetic specialist, but I do know he has a congenital digital deformity in a foot.
Okay.
Ms. Robinson's mother presents evidence to the court, which appears more convincing than Mr. Rollins' account.
I got the evidence, Your Honor.
Jerome, will you please hand me Ms. Robinson's evidence? On the left, this is a shot of you, Ms. Robinson, and on the right is a shot of Mr. Rollins' mother. Are you saying you see a resemblance now?
I noticed that now. Yeah. Yes, I do.
I appreciate your honesty.
After considering all the testimonies and evidence, Judge Lake is ready to announce the results.
I don't want to make you wait any longer. I'm ready for the results. In the case of Robinson versus Rollins, when it comes to LeAngela, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Rollins, you are not the father. You are not the father.
Well, I didn't sleep with nobody else.
Well, we know that that's a lie. When I read the result, you weren't even surprised in my mind. Did you know the whole time, no matter how small,
I recall, but I don't remember.
Hit thing can lead to pregnancy? I know you've loved her. Doing anything for your child, meaning putting yourself on the line, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you all right?
I'm sorry. Mr. Rollins, I apologize.
Before we go, we may need your help. This courtroom, Ms. Robinson, is here for you, and I want you to keep that same tenacity. You said I'm about to go ask some questions. Keep that. I know you need that answer. I have counseling and resources for you. I wish you the very best of luck. Court is adjourned.
The only thing that matters to you today is the future of your 1-year-old daughter, Sanaya.
Yes, Your Honor.
You state you're here to prove the defendant, Mr. Rutledge, is her biological father because she needs 2 parents. yet he's seen her only once in her life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Brown brought Mr. Rutledge to paternity court to prove he is the biological father of her 1-year-old daughter, Sahania. She wants confirmation so he can finally be in her life again.
Now, yes, before me and Mr. Rutledge got serious, I had relations with other people, but never around the time that I conceived or never around the time that I got pregnant. So, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, Mr. Rutledge. She gave a pretty clear account of her version of the story. Do you agree with that?
Well, first of all, me and Ms. Brown was never in a relationship. It was only sexual relationship. I met Ms. Brown from, she was seeing my cousin, they was dating.
Miss Brown is adamant that her child is Mr. Rutledge's, but he's not convinced because he thinks she's been sleeping with multiple people and told them she was pregnant by them, including his own brother.
Ms. Brown, you left these facts out.
Yes, I left them out, Your Honor, because they're not facts. First of all,
okay,
you don't have to pay for a morning after pill because everyone knows that a morning after pill is free whether you have insurance or not. As far as me having one night stands and all that with his cousins, if he felt that I had one night stands with his cousin or his brother, why would you turn around and have unprotected sex with me?
Miss Brown went on to say that Mr. Rutledge knew her inside out because they'd been friends for a really long time and ran in the same circles. If he had any doubts about her, he wouldn't have slept with her unprotected.
When you were looking for love in all the wrong places and you were maybe being a little more sexually promiscuous than you are now,
right?
Was this at all during the window of conception?
No.
So that he could maybe be doubtful about the paternity?
No. I'm not saying that, he should just be so sure. I'm not saying that at all. But I know for a fact that around the time that I conceived, I didn't have sex with no one else.
Both of them have completely different ideas about what they really were while they were sleeping with each other. So there's a lot of confusion and hurt feelings there, but regardless of that, a whole child hangs.
I called him and let him know, like, yes, I'm pregnant. I told him actually to come to the house first. I'm like, we need to talk. He like, talk about what? So I'm like, I'd rather you come here and talk to you in person. He like, no, what is it? So I told him, like, I'm pregnant.
When you heard from Ms. Brown, what did she say to you?
Like she said, I went over to her house and everything, and we talked about her or whatever, and I told her that I wanted a DNA test.
And that was because you were doubtful from the start?
From the beginning.
Miss Brown called Mr. Rutledge, told him she was pregnant, and then they had an in-person conversation.
When you gave birth to Sanaya, did Mr. Rutledge, did he show up to the hospital?
No, his sister, Mrs. Rutledge, was there when I had the baby. She was there like every day while I was in the hospital. She was there.
He wasn't there at the birth, his sister was, and she told Miss Brown that Mr. Rutledge did not want this baby to be born. So that caused a major rift between them right there, and it's been there ever since.
I'd like to hear from your witness, Miss Brown. Please stand, ma'am. And state your name for the court.
LaKanya Brown.
Ms. Brown, you said in your testimony just a second ago that you offered to have the defendant, Mr. Rutledge, take a DNA test in your home state.
Yes, I told his sister, I went down to our courthouse, I got the paperwork, and she said, well, I don't know if he's gonna go take it. And he never showed up to take the test.
Miss Rutledge says that she tried to save Miss Brown.
Brown versus Rutledge and Rutledge. When it comes to 1-year-old Sanaya Rutledge Brown, Mr. Rutledge, it has been determined by this court that you are her father.
What? Now what? What y'all gotta say now? What do y'all gotta say now? Exactly. I thought that's what y'all had to say.
I apologize.
The DNA test proved that he is the father. This man was defensive throughout the case and instantly switched his tone. He now wants to be an active part of the child's life, so much so that he says he'll make up for
that Mr. Johnson is the father.
This is a case of Short versus Johnson.
Ms. Short, your first love denies he fathered your son, Jabari. You demand Mr. Johnson step up and be a father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, you refuse to do anything for her son. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
They explain their need for assistance, emphasizing the difficulties Ms. Short faces due to her schooling.
You say you need help.
Yes, because he's the father of my son, and I need extra help, like while I'm in school.
We got to do this for Jabari. She just need to know, is he the father? We need to know, because I did stop him from coming over. Like, them to get attached if he wasn't the father, because she did It's a possibility you may not be the father.
Ms. Short recounts the intimate encounter and the moment she learned she was pregnant, sharing her emotions openly.
After you met, you all started having sex?
Yes. Me and Mr. Johnson had sex April 23rd. I seen him on Facebook with another female, and I was like, he just left. He just left me. It was May 3rd. I had met the other boy, but this the first time we ever had sex. I'm like, well, Mr. Johnson don't care about me, why not?
Mr. Johnson offers his side, initially trusting Ms. Short, but later receiving conflicting information from her friends.
I got her friends talking to me about the other dude. I was there. When she called me and asked me for stuff, I was there to help her. Her own mother was not in the hospital room.
I wasn't happy about the situation.
Well, it don't matter.
You is too. Honey. You very
Okay, to the moms, let this young man talk.
I found out about the baby. If he was mine, I was gonna be there for her. Her friends started telling me that. That's when I started having my doubt.
Despite the betrayal by her friends, Ms. Short receives unexpected support from Mr. Johnson's mother, complicating the situation further.
I didn't expect that because I said possibility already.
Okay, so you were speaking to Ms. Mabry.
Let me tell you, I've been raising him. It's very, very expensive. He don't pay child support for none of his kids.
So this has been very difficult on you, without any financial support from a father.
Her mama would get into our arguments and tell me not to come back to the house. If I come over there, she's gonna call the police.
Mr. Johnson and Ms. Short exchange concerns and promises of support, documented in writing.
All right, I want to hear from you, Miss Mabry. You said to her, if you need anything, just let me know.
Yes, if DeMaje's not the father, that makes him be the father. When we try to get the baby, we can't get the baby. He was trying to be involved, even though we know it was a possibility that it's not my son, baby.
Judge Lake steps in, instructing the young individuals on proper courtroom behavior and revealing troubling details about Mr. Johnson.
I remember writing that letter, but at the time, I thought that Jabari was mine. If he's mine, I'm going to be there.
You had no idea the other guy existed.
I didn't know nothing.
And then once you confronted her about it, she admitted that, yes, there was, which is why you're here. I have been trying to be compassionate, and now you've gotten yourself into this whole big drama. You can't even string 2 good sentences together. Be prepared to take care of this beautiful little boy, almost 2 years old.
With emotions running high, Judge Lake prepares to reveal the DNA test results.
Mr. Johnson, you say you got more than one child.
I have 4. With Jabari, I have 5 in all.
Can I
And you're 20 years old?
These are not his kids, you want them. They're not his.
You're saying that some of the other ones you feel like are not his. The fact that you are in the running, that you admittedly slept with these women without protection, you would know that's not me.
After considering the testimonies from both teens, Judge Lake is ready to announce the DNA results.
Now I want to get these results. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics in the case of Short versus Johnson. When it comes to Jabari Short, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are the father.
I'll be there for him.
Good.
This is all I want to know to get all the other extra stuff out the way.
It should not have taken this, but it did.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we're here now. So now we've got to figure out the right path to be able to raise this child together. You all are going to have to work out together. Mr. Johnson and his family will be able to see the baby. You can do this through the courtroom. It's up to you. And they will also set guidelines for which he can see the child. There's more to being a father than just running around and taking pictures for Facebook. You know my point.
Yeah.
It's more than just pictures. It is care. It is time. It is setting the example, right? Y'all gonna have to get in there.
Yes, no problem.
You all gonna have to stop that little bickering and all that nonsense. Good. Take care of yourselves. Court is adjourned.
This is Chanel Craig, and she's convinced her dad isn't actually her biological father. It turns out her mother, Janelle, did sleep around with multiple different men around the time she had Chanel. Seems like Thompson's worst nightmare came true, because he's not Chanel's father.